A life on the streets is not one that any of us would wish for. But our next guest not only had to live on the streets, he watched a close friend die and even bury him himself before his life changed for the better. Let's live out loud with Braxtone Omollo next. Hello and welcome to Sheila Lives Out Loud. It's great that you found this channel. I'm so glad you're here. Remember to click subscribe and hit on notifications. And one more thing, share this video so you can tell a friend and another about it. We're living out loud at the Westwood Hotel. My name is Sheila Mwanyega and we're all set to live out loud with Braxtone Omollo. Braxton, tell us a little bit about you.
Okay, my name is Braxtone Omollo. I'm a Kenyan. I was born and raised in Nandi Hills, and I went to school in Nandi Hills Primary. I went to high school in Western Vihiga, and then later on, ended up in the streets of Mombasa after my father died. So I got into the streets, used drugs, had drugs for around 8 years, and then God saw me through. And somebody rescued me from the streets after some very nasty experience in the streets. But now I'm clean. I've been clean for 5 years now. I'm working, I'm a father, and I'm happy.
Are you the eldest? Do you have siblings, sisters and brothers? Did they go through the same experience? Well, ukikula maisha vile things were unfolding for you, was it also the same for them?
Actually, no. I'm the eldest, I'm the firstborn, and I went to the streets out of sacrifice. When my father died, we were rich, and then my father died. We lost everything, so we were left with my mother. And my brothers were growing up, so I looked at my mother, and the burden is about to carry. So actually, when I went to Mombasa, I went to look for a job. And things didn't turn out right. So I went missing. They didn't know where I was for about 6 years.
Really?
Yeah, so in fact, the first time they were seeing me, they were seeing a story about me being rehabilitated from the streets. So that is when we started communicating again. So I sacrificed my education and my life for them. They didn't understand why until later. That is when they started understanding when they were watching my interviews. Because I didn't see, at that point, I didn't see my mother making to take me to school and my brothers and also having a good life. So I had to sacrifice myself for my brothers. Okay. We are 4 boys and 1 girl.
Right. And they must be very proud of how far you've come now.
Yeah, I know, they are proud.
Because when you hear about people living on the streets and having a drug problem, getting through to the other side and making it in one piece, not very many people make it.
Some of the things we go through in life, it's us to make the decision of how we will face the world. Because when you are in drugs, the society tends to isolate you, no matter how much you try to show them that you've changed. So even if they accept you, bado wanashuku because of people who are dealing in drugs and using drugs. They think that they can never be clean. So if you don't make that decision that you are going to be in your own world, it will be hard for you.
And I want to talk about rehabilitation, kidogo. You say someone rescued you from the streets. How did that happen?
When I went to the streets, actually, I had education. I did well in school. So I went to look for a job, and then things didn't work out the way I thought it would work out. So I ended up in the street. So I went to a place opposite Casablanca. There were prostitutes and street kids hanging around there. So there was a lot of movements. So I found that to be a perfect spot for me to hang out at night. Nobody will attack me. So there's a boy sleeping on the streets. I talked to him. Nikamuuliza kama naeza lala naye hapo when nikikuwa sleepy. And then akasema yes. So at night, kumbe he had cocaine. And while I was asleep, akanipaka kwa mapua. So when I woke up, I sniffed. And that is how I started using cocaine and started street life. So I would go to a certain mama's hotel and pick plastic bottles to sell so that I can get money for food and to buy the drugs. And then since mi nilikuwa mjanja, I got involved in drug peddling in Mombasa, and I would sell the drugs to other street kids and other people. So this mama, I was going to pick bottles and she was giving me food for like 5 years. Hata he used to introduce me to people as mtoto wake mwenye alipotea. You see, so one day, that friend of mine died while we were on the street. And then everybody akakimbia.
What happened?
When somebody dies...
You woke up and found he was...
not really. He was coughing for a very long time.
Yeah.
And at times when alikuwa na cough, alikuwa natoa blood. So tulipoenda OC, since tulikuwa Machokos, watu wakafikiria tunaenda kuomba food, tukarudishwa. So hakupata medication, hata tukujua nini ilikuwa inamsumbua.
Nobody even looked at him.
Yes, so eventually one night akadai. So tuliamka asubuhi tukapata he's not here. So everybody akakimbia. Because mtu akikufa kwa street, ama hata home, mtu akikufa and you are with him, you are number one suspect. So everybody alijua tukienda polisi kusema mtu amekufa, first tutashikwa, and then tukishikwa tupelekwe shimo la tewa, nobody will follow up because nobody knows who you are. So everybody akakimbia. So this guy, as much as sikuwa namjua, he was a good friend to me. Yeye ndiye alinifunza jinsi ya kusurvive kwa street. So sikutaka kumhepa pia mimi, unaona. So I decided to find a way of disposing the body. So nikazika ile mwili mwenyewe. I hustled my way. It took me like 3 days kuchimba pit, and then nikamzika. And then there was a church opposite pale Mapembe ya Mombasa. There was a church there. So I went there, and hata I don't know what I went to do in the church because hata sikufanya anything.
Continue with this story in part 2.